You know, Free Revolution Radio over here did this video the other day, and I watched this the other day, and I couldn't wholeheartedly agree more with what everything he's saying. And Jeff's little sarcasm and everything on the way. Good video, okay? And I had to agree with him all the way. I can't disagree. I mean, he's right. What can I say, okay? We all know he's right, okay? Definitely. And this David Cameron is a joke, okay? But there's something else I wanted to add to this because, well, we all know what they're after, They want to shut everybody down. But I'm used to it, I've laid back. People haven't seen me doing videos recently. I just haven't got the desire. I've done it for so long. I've done so much research and so much research and so many videos and so many videos and so much research and so many videos. On and on and on, okay? It's just, it's to the point now where I sit back and I'm watching everything replay itself. You know how history keeps repeating itself? Well, within a 10-year span, I'm watching everything that already happened 10 years ago start all over again. And I'm going, wow, for real? Okay, so I'm watching a repeat of everything on YouTube all over again. What a joke. But anyhow, this right here is funny. I agree with Jeff all the way. But, like always, you can't get everything in. And I just wanted to add a little segment to Jeff's video here because he did an awesome video here. It's a great job. Thank you, Jeff. But I want to add something to it. I think that you might enjoy this too. So let's just play this one little part.
Kingdom, we are introducing new powers.
Woo! Yeah, there you go.
Our ability to seize passports and stop suspects from traveling.
There you go.
To allow us to strip British identity from dual nationals and temporarily prevent some British nationals getting back to the
reaction solution.
To ensure that airlines comply with our no-fly lists.
That's right. We got to make sure that we comply with the no-fly list because, it's important that we comply with the no-fly list. Right here, I'll tell you why. Okay, you need to listen close.
Because let's be, and Sarah's right. People's intimidation on this issue is not defined by just Republicans. There are Democrats intimidated by this issue. Wrongly, but intimidated, and they think their politics and their community is such that they can't do this. The truth is, what we need again to get moving on this legislation is put together a crime strategy like we had before, which is why we passed the bill today on the cops, putting money back into putting police officers on there, getting voices for change, and then making sure that we have a president, I cannot put my partisanship aside, a Democratic president, who will take that office and use it to protect the streets and the kids that grow up on those streets and make sure that we once again have an assault weapon ban, a Brady bill with the full force of the law on the land, because we need somebody in the Oval Office that moves this Congress. We had an election about change. People are clear about the special interests. They are tired of that gridlock the special interests cause in Washington. And I think the most simple thing we can do, and we've got to make this a #1 issue as a test vote and then take it into the election. That is, if you are on the no-fly list because you are known as maybe a possible terrorist, you cannot buy a handgun in America.
There you go. If you're on that no-fly list, okay? Now remember, they're already coming after us, but at the same time they're coming after us, they've been after our guns for a long time, long time. What do you think Sandy Stagehook was about? Okay, and what do you think the Boston stage bombing was about? And the Batman theater stage shooting was about? I don't need to go on, but as you can see, he's after gunning. And if you're on that no-fly list, you definitely cannot own a gun in America.
And I am not one far from liking the mixing of politics and policy, but as my old boss used to say, give me that vote and throw me into that briar patch. I'll make politics out of that every day. Because if it's between that terrorist list and the NRA, I know where America is going to be every time, and they're going to make the right choice, and we have got to start building on that. That is the right thing to take into the election, and it's the right policy. But if you're on that no-fly list, your access to the right to bear arms is canceled because you're not part of the American family.
That's right. You just remember that. If you're on that no-fly list, that's right.
6-year-old Alyssa Thomas is like any little girl.
Ta-da!
She loves her dolls. and she's already excited about the first grade. But according to the U.S. government, you should be worried about what she's up to.
I'm putting a clip in her hair.
We were like puzzled. I'm like, well, she's kind of 6 years old. This is not something that should be typical. But I'm like, well, okay.
Dr. Santosh Thomas was just made aware that his oldest daughter is on the list, the terror watch list that impacts travelers who could be a threat to national security. Alyssa's parents found out at the Continental check-in counter during a recent trip from Cleveland to Minneapolis.
They said, well, she's on a list. We're like, okay, what's the story? What do we have to do to get off the list? That's not exactly the list we want to be on.
Now, we know there's a list. In fact, the government confirms that one exists, but the FBI won't say anything about who's on it, how many people are on it, or why. The family...
Okay, this is old news, as you know, and this girl, update on this girl is the family actually did get this little girl's name off the no-fly list, which was absolutely American and amazing within itself, okay? But this little girl wasn't the only child put on the no-fly list. There was also a little boy put on the no-fly list, and I haven't seen an update showing that he ever got his name off the no-fly list. There's also a few other kids that was put on the no-fly list. This little girl they got her name off, and I haven't looked to see the updates on the other children. But the point is you know why the children's name was on the no-fly list, don't you? You do know why, right? You understand why their name was on the fly list to begin with, and the reason they had to go through hell to get the kid's name off, and I don't know if the other children got their name off or not, is because of what he said right here. And the reasons that's happening is because of everything Jeff talked about here. I'm sorry, but it all goes back to the same BS that's been going on and 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 going on. You know, and ain't no dang thing going to change because the majority of the people, and I hate to say this, but I'm going to be honest right in your face, the majority of the people that are speaking out aren't doing it for the proper reason to begin with. They're doing it for their own selfishness. Okay, that's the majority, and I'm not trying to be discriminatory. And at the same time, we have big heads on YouTube, people that are really liked. I mean, people that are really liked with lots of subscribers, and I'm not going to name names. And out of some of these people that are really popular, really liked, and have lots and lots of subscribers, I would have to say 3/4 of them are YouTube plants. They've been put here deliberately to deceive you, just like Alex Jones, David Icke. Should I go on? But I'm not going to say no more about it, and I'm not going to say no names. I'm going to say this. We have a bunch of people that are so-called truthers that live selective truth. If it's outside something they already believe, they're not willing to step outside that arena because they already believe him. And once they believed in this, they don't look into it. So, you know, and if they were wrong about their belief, they don't want to know they're wrong because they don't want to believe that they believed in something that was wrong. And, you know, and they fail to understand that we've all been brainwashed from the time we were children. That they're not responsible for a lot of what's happened because they were lied to from the time they was a baby. But you got to wake up and see what's going on. You got to stop being about yourself and people that are sitting up here fucking on YouTube for your views and your subscribers list and monetizing your channels and making money. And some of you not monetizing your channels, not making money, but you're still here for the wrong reason. And there are some of you that are actually here for the right reason, okay? So I don't want to be discriminatory about everybody, but I'm telling you from what I've seen and what I'm watching. And what Jeff C. talked about the censorship, well, he's correct about the censorship. Everything that's been happening to Jeff and all that she's talking about that he's going through, I've been through for 10 years straight. Okay? I've lost 2 other channels. I've had 2 other channels completely taken down. My numbers are skewed. My fucking numbers are kept low. And even the last 2 strikes on this channel were completely fabricated lies. They should have never have happened. But, you know, when you're dealing with criminals, you're dealing with criminals. You know, the last strike on my channel, they told me that I was breaking YouTube guidelines when I used tags. and in titles that would cause my video to get views. Well, the funny thing was the title was a reply to a video, and I used the video that I was replying to's title and put RE for reply in front of it. And that title was struck down as, oh, I could cause me to get views. And that I used tags that might cause my videos to become optimized and be seen. So I violated YouTube's guidelines and I got a strike. Okay, and I got kicked out for 2 weeks. I'm used to it, okay? And I might get kicked out for doing this video. Who knows? You know, I might even lose my channel for it. You should think I care? No, I don't care. I really don't. I've about had it with doing videos and trying to get people to wake up and get together because nobody's going to stand together. There ain't nobody going to stand together. You're all too divided. The majority of people out here, the so-called truthers, are selective truthers. Okay, so I mean selective. They're not willing to look into something that they may have been wrong about at all. I mean, you know, not understanding that we all been lied to since we were a kid, and there's no shame in being wrong about something you believe when you've been lied to your whole life. Okay? And because they just don't get the concept of that, you know, I don't know what to tell you people. I can only tell you this. They've done a really good job of dumbing you down. Too many people are cowards. America's not the land of the free. That's the biggest joke you've ever heard. You haven't been free in neons. Okay? But you all think you are. And, I mean, just the lies just go fucking on and on and on. And I've went into this for a long time, and I can only tell you this. From what I'm seeing, you people don't stand a chance in hell. The powers to be, whatever you want to call them, the bankers, they're going to have their way, okay? And then we have this guy here. I want you to listen just this little part.
Most people are born into a timeline where they don't see much happening beyond their own lives. They will try to support their child and prepare them for the future and their grandchildren, but beyond that, they don't really have, you know, the same foundation, the same doctrine that the second species which controls this planet does. The globalists, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, Bilderbergs, etc. Their families and their bloodlines, they work as a collective unit. They pass down their knowledge to the next generation and their finance and all of that. And they've been doing this for centuries and thousands of years. And that's why they have this great advantage.
What she's saying is true, but listen.
Over us.
This is why they have that great advantage over us.
Because we don't really hand as much stuff down to our generations as they do.
Now, see, there's no truth in that at all. This guy don't even know what he's talking about. And I hate to say that. Them words right there, or what he just said, the statement you just heard, is there's no truth in it. Not whatsoever. This guy hasn't done any homework in this area whatsoever. The majority of this video, this guy means well. I'm not shooting this guy down. I'm telling you, he actually means well, and he's trying to deliver a good message, and he says a lot of things that is true. And what he's talking about is terraforming. It's nothing more than what I've talked about for a long time already. Terraforming is nothing more than social conditioning. Okay, that's all it is social conditioning, brainwashing. Okay, and I've been into that topic very deep. But when he's talking about it here, and he's talking about the Rothschilds, and they pass their knowledge down to generation, everything he said is true, but it's not the reason. Okay. First off, you're trying to, that makes the Rothschilds look in a good spotlight there. Okay, they're the powers to be, and, you know, but they're smarter than us because they've passed their information down the family members for generation after generation. But, so I guess my message to this guy here is, the reason his statement is so often so badly off is because he obviously hasn't thought about who the Rothschilds really are. And that the Rothschilds isn't even their real last name. And that if he would just go and study the monetary system and find out when the first bank that was ever opened, and the practices, and follow the monetary system on up, and study the monetary system, and study from the time beginning of one. I mean, you know, I'm just going to give you a prime example. We've allowed this, and we've let it happen right in our face, and we've even made it legal for bankers to do it. So I'm going to give you an example, okay? I've decided that I'm going to go ahead and rent his car out, Yeah, this guy here, I'm going to rent his car out. Now, I know it's his automobile. I have no right to it, right? But I'm going to go ahead and rent it out and charge profit and interest for myself off of his vehicle for me renting his vehicle to somebody else. And then I'm going to say, but it's legal for me to do that because I'm a banker. Because the banks from day one have taken money that wasn't theirs and used it, spent it, loaned it to other people, and charged them interest to pay them back for money that was never theirs to begin with. And then made it a law that they could do so. I mean, I could go on for hours with the monetary system. Okay? The Rothschilds' information are passing down, and their wealth comes from killing and stealing. They're nothing but massive serial killers and thieves. And so's a lot of others, not just the Rothschilds. But this is my point. He needs to go back and do a little studying before he makes a statement like that, because his statement's totally off. This part right here.
And their finance and all of that. And they've been doing this for centuries and thousands of
This
years.
party was right.
And that's why they have this great advantage over us.
But they don't have the great advantage over us because of that. They have the great advantage over us because they own and run and control the monetary system of one's land. Famous quote from a Rockefeller or Rothschild was, "Give me control or ownership of one's monetary system, and I not care who makes the laws, who's the king, who's the president." That's right. Because when you control and own one's monetary system, which is the money of the land of that country, the governments need money. They're dependent on you. You now run and control the governments. It's as simple as that. The Rothschilds, the bankers, dynasty, Rothschilds, Rockefellers, so on, finance both sides of every single war. They finance your enemy and the other, and they pit you against each other and make you enemies. This is a long story, can go on forever, but this guy means well, and he's really putting out a good message, but I wanted to point this part out. He needs to go back and study the monetary system a little more before he says what he's saying here, because there's no truth to what he just said. Not at all. There's no truth to the last words.
Collective unit. They pass down their knowledge to the next generation.
This part is the truth.
And their finance and all of that. And they've been doing this for centuries and thousands of years.
Which is true.
And that's why they have this great advantage over us.
But it's not why they have the great advantage over us at all. That's never been why. It's because we've never stopped them. We allowed a private entity to own a family, a people, to own one's monetary system. Okay? We've allowed them to, from day one, when the very first bank opened, was to take your gold and loan it to somebody else that wasn't theirs. That's why I said I'm going to go ahead and rent his car out. I can take his car and rent it out. I'm a banker. Do you follow what I'm telling you? And make a profit off his car. He's not allowed to stop me. I don't care if he missed work today because his car wasn't there. No big deal to me, right? It's not hurting me any as long as I'm out of my pocket because I'm a Rothschild, or I'm a Rockefeller, I'm a banker. Never mind. I just wanted to throw that out there. Hopefully this guy will go study the monetary system a little bit and try to understand what I'm telling him. Okay, he says a lot of truth here and he's really meaning well. I just wanted to point out this one little spot right here because there's no truth in that statement, man. And people who haven't studied the monetary system and understand what's really taking place would listen to something like this and hear what he's saying, and they would never catch on and never know. So I just wanted to point that out. But anyhow, I know he means well. I'm not trying to shoot him down. He has said a lot of really good information in here. But terraforming is nothing more than, as I've said, social conditioning, brainwashing. I've talked about it for years. But with that being said, to Jeff, Free to Revelation Radio or Revolution Radio, and to Jeff C over here, great job on your video. I thought I'd throw a little bit in here.